So I want to talk about connection. Connection is incredibly important, especially if you are finding yourself isolated, if you're recovering from a divorce, all kinds of things that can kind of rip away the people in your life and limit your support system. But I don't want to just talk about it in the realm of you being supported, which is important. I also want to talk about the way that we're really meant to show up for other people, and the things that get in the way of us doing this, and how to do it without absolutely depleting ourselves, but to know when those times are worth it, even if maybe our bandwidth is limited, right? So there's all this talk about self-care and, making sure you're taken care of well first. And I say it all the time. So this isn't contrary to that, but this is the concept that I would couple with that, because life is never fully balanced. And knowing how to create the connections that we need and how to know when to step into being there for someone else is a really important part of redefining how we show up in this world, who we'll be, especially if we're starting over in life. So I want to dive into all of that today and give you hopefully some clarity. And if you're new here, I'm Ketra Thompson. And what I do with my clients is I help them reframe the subconscious blocks that are keeping them from living a life that they really want, from having the love and connection that they really want. And I do that with custom hypnotherapy, with mind coaching, with relationship coaching, and a heavy focus on attachment style, which can drive so much of our behavior. So if you'd like to learn more, check out the link in the description below, where you can set up a completely complimentary consultation call, and you and I can chat and we can get to the heart of what's going on with you. So when we're starting over, especially, sometimes we're starting over from a place of depletion. So the first part of connection is knowing that there are seasons in your life where you let go of people who maybe aren't in your sphere of influence anymore. Maybe you make connections with new people, but we have to be able to check in with ourselves and know when we actually need that connection. But more importantly, and I think one of the biggest and most overlooked things, is that we need to cultivate relationships with people in our life who we know are solid. So what do I mean by that? Well, starting over in my 40s, divorced, having a new career for the most part, all of that is a huge life change process that I have been through. And I'm not typically the kind of person that asks for help. I don't reach out and tell people, can you do this for me? Or can you help me with this? I tend to be really self-sufficient and over-functioning at sometimes, what I call as the recovering perfectionist. And of course, there's always the people like my mom, that I really can always call and rely on. And usually it's only when I've gotten into a point of a real bind. But I do know that it's really important that we look at the character of the people that we are investing our time and energy into, whether that's an intimate relationship or our friendship relationships, because the kind of people that you can really count on are so valuable. Not because you're going to overreach and you're going to overextend, but the one thing that a lot of people, especially if you're wired like me, do is that they don't let people in. It's not that they're not willing to go, help out if asked or be there for someone, but they don't always let people in, or they don't let people into their lives that are capable of seeing the reality of where they're at. And so on several occasions in the last several years, I have had really incredible friends, not a ton of them, not a dozen of them, just a handful that have really seen when I needed something. People who have, a friend who's come and just sat with me so that I wasn't alone when I needed to cry, and just hugged me, not feeling like they had to fix everything, or brought food to my doorstep when I was sick, or have listened to me go on and on about the same things sometimes, and vice versa. I have tried my best to do that for them. So I want to talk about this today because it's just really been on my heart that our connections matter. And we might say we want connection. We might say that, sure, we'd be there. It's important. But if we aren't actually tuning in to the people in our life to see the needs that maybe they aren't willing to always express. Doesn't mean you're supposed to read their mind, doesn't mean you're supposed to be codependent. But when we can really tune in and go, I can see you're not okay. And we don't wait to be asked. We just go be there for them. That is part of the community and connection that is missing in the world right now. And there's two sides of it. There's the side where we realize we need the help and we are willing to reach out and ask, which is huge. I talk to my clients about that all the time. But there's also the side of us that is so wrapped up in ourselves, we aren't always willing to notice what's going on in someone else's life, or we won't let them, even if they notice with us, we won't let them in. We won't let them come be there for us because it creates an awkwardness. And the thing is, this is all like early programming stuff, right? Where maybe our caregivers didn't hold space for our emotions, didn't let us just come unhinged in the moment so that we could get it all out and move forward in a healthy way. Maybe our caregivers shut us down or were dismissive when we did have big emotions. And so we learned that it's better to just handle it on our own, to pull back, to problem solve, and then to re-enter the world once we've fixed it, which is a very avoidant way of dealing with our feelings. So even if you're someone who considers yourself like an anxious attachment style or a secure attachment or fearful avoidant or maybe full avoidant, that behavior is avoidant behavior. And it's probably better said, not even avoidant, it's self-protective behavior, where we've been programmed that if we let our needs be seen and known, we're going to be a burden to someone else. We are going to be on the hook, to be obligated to be there for someone else in a way that maybe we don't trust that we have the capacity to be there for them. And the loss of community is a big problem here because once upon a time, people had more community. They had people that we did things with. I can just look at my parents' generation of when I was young, they had big house parties. People just showed up without announcing themselves. People came over and, your parents would be like, oh, let me put on some coffee. Let me get some food. You want a drink? Whatever it was. There was this fluidity in the coming and going into each other's lives in the circle of people that we were in. And we've lost that so much because of the isolation that we have. All the social isolation that takes us into scrolling on social media, working so much that we get home and we're so exhausted that all we can do is stare at the wall. We don't have the bandwidth or the capacity to do anything else. We aren't supported. We aren't coupled as much as before. We don't have the teamwork thing going on that's working in our favor. And so this is costing people. Now, the epidemic of loneliness is really just a worldwide issue of isolation that's causing health problems and all kinds of things. But specifically today, I want to talk about the two pieces that I've already mentioned about noticing when something is off in the people that you care about and just being there. Not because you have to be there for every crisis. Not because you have to be there for every person who you know in your circle of influence that has an issue. But the people who really matter to you when they have an issue, when they're struggling, they don't need you to solve their problem necessarily. They just need you to be there, to just be present, to just hold space. And so in so much of my advice, I would say, check in with yourself. Do you have the bandwidth? Do you have the energy? Check in before you say yes. Like make sure your yes is a full yes. But there are times where you might not have the bandwidth, but you make it. You create the bandwidth. You find the space because life is not easily balanced. It is not predictable. It is not perfectly kept in sync with you never exerting more than you have to give. It's just when those things become chronic that it becomes an issue. So I'd really like to challenge you to ask yourself how aware you are of the other people in your life and where they're at emotionally and mentally, where their needs are. Are you actually looking at the relationships in your life with curiosity? Not every day, not all the time, but with an openness of like wanting to maybe read between the lines so that you can be there for them. And if you are you just stepping in to be there? Because most people will not ask for your help and your support. And when they finally do, it's usually too late. So many of my clients are in full burnout by the time they ask their spouse for help, or maybe they've been asking and their spouse hasn't taken them seriously, and then they find themselves in full burnout. And so whether you're in a relationship or not, an intimate relationship, it's really important to not only check in with yourself and measure where you're at and what your needs are so that you can meet those needs in real time, but also to start reading between the lines a little bit with the people that you love. Ask them the questions that they might not give you honest answers to, but as you create more rapport and dialogue and create a safe space for them to know that if they do come to you, you're not going to criticize, belittle, or judge. All of that starts with inner work inside of you. Calming your own nervous system, dealing with your own emotional triggers, dealing with the trauma and belief system that was created when you were young so that when someone else needs you, you have the capacity to be there for them within reason, of course. And so when we think about the way our brain works, it's all because of the wiring that went into our subconscious mind when we were really young. And our subconscious mind is driving over 95% of everything we think, feel, and do. But we don't have access to it really unless we are in hypnosis, which is, of course, I'm a big fan. Why the fastest way to get to the heart of the things that are holding you back is in that hypnotherapy process. But your awareness is really important, and just taking stock, going, okay, if relationships and connection is my highest value, and for me it is, then what am I proactively doing so that I can deepen the connections with the people in my life? So one example of what I've done is last year I asked myself about all my values and what I valued most. And at the top of that list is the people I love. And of course, my 3 boys are grown and out of the house now for the most part. So it's rare to get them under the same roof. So I decided that I was going to make more than just the there's more than once a year, but we usually go on a beach trip once a year. And then there's other times, holidays and weekends, that they're home and in the same space, but it's just not that common. So what I did was I decided, okay, I'm going to be intentional about booking some other things that are close to the universities where they are, that are going to be easy to go to. And I had rented a vacation home on a lake for a long weekend, and we all, spent the weekend together and hung out and chatted and sat on the deck and paddleboarded and all the things. But I had to think ahead to do that. I had to plan ahead and be intentional about creating the space where we could connect. And so what I'm saying is you can do this outside of just your family. You can make the intentional space for connection with someone you're dating, with a good friend. And that doesn't have to mean some big grand thing. Like if you went to a concert with someone, you're probably not going to talk that much, but on the drive there, you might. Mm-hmm. So having the time and space where there's no structure, but a relaxed atmosphere where anything is safe to be said or shared on a regular basis is really helpful. And one of the things I do with my friends, and they're better at it than I am. Like I am only good at this with my closest friends because they are good at it and I'm getting better. But I will randomly meet up when I have an open long lunch hour or extra free time. I'll say, hey, you want to grab lunch? Hey, are you free for coffee? And we'll try to fit it in wherever we can. But sometimes it's a good idea to just set some standing things. Like you could say the first Monday of the month, I always get coffee with this person, or I meet up with my girlfriends after work, or whatever that is. Creating the space for these connections to happen, because you won't be able to read when other people need you if that space isn't created, and you won't feel comfortable expressing your needs to others. And so the first thing you want to do is check in with yourself and really take stock of who you have in your life that you can lean on, who shows up for you even when you don't ask, who is attuned to what's going on with you. And if you have some of those people, cultivate those connections even further. If you don't, now it's time to start making some friends. Join a group, go to a meetup, take a class, be present when you're out and about in the world. Ask questions, have conversations, engage people, because if you don't, you're going to feel like life is really, really heavy. And if you're starting over after a divorce, you're probably feeling super unsupported anyway, and you're in a whole new phase of life. And so stepping into your vulnerability is really important, and also giving yourself the time to cultivate that. So this video is a little different than my normal video, but I wanted to talk about it so badly because I don't think I could really function well if I didn't have those people in my life. And I also know that it's one of the biggest issues with all my clients. I don't think I have had one single client in the hundreds of clients I've had that has ever said that they didn't need more connection and support. We need it, and we need to give it. If we want to get it, we have to be there for the people that we really love and honor and want to have in our lives when they need it as well. So practicing expressing your needs in a small way is another step you can take. So the people that are already in your life saying, I really just need to chat for a bit. I need to vent maybe. Or do you have space for me to do that? I really just need to meet up and grab a coffee. I really just need a hug. I don't even need to stay. I just want to stop by, get a good 30-second hug, get some oxytocin, because I just need that. And so even if those requests seem too vulnerable for you, you could start even smaller by, when you guys talk about where you want to go to eat, you could ask yourself, well, what would I say if it was just me? If I'm used to being like, wherever, it doesn't matter. And then say where you really want to go, with the acceptance that you might not go there and it's fine, but at least you're practicing using your voice. You're practicing communicating what you desire, what you need, and where you're at. And as you do that, you can then step into more vulnerability, a little more openness. And this is all made a lot easier when you're really connected to your self-worth, when you've dealt with those triggers that are so afraid inside of you of rejection, of judgment, of being considered a burden, of the shame that comes with that. Those are subconscious things. And when you've dealt with those and you're connected to your self-worth, it's not so scary to step into your vulnerability. So I hope that was helpful. If you're feeling alone, if you're feeling unsupported, if you feel like you need that connection, it does take strategic, purposeful steps to create that connection, but you can baby step your way into it. And if you'd like help dealing with the internal subconscious beliefs that are keeping you in your shame, keeping you isolated, keeping you self-protective, keeping you from being honest with yourself and the people in your life, then again, check out that link in the description where we can set up a call and you and I can chat and we can really get to the heart of what's going on. And at the very least, you're going to walk away with a lot more clarity. And I also want to mention, I have a completely free self-concept hypnosis recording in the link below. You can click on that, you can download it, and you can work on your self-concept so that you can reinforce that confidence and self-worth that you really are striving to achieve in your life. So check that out. That is my free gift to you. And until next time, I hope you curate a life by your own design.